Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of NetElixir's Insider Insights Week, a 2-webinar series that will look both inward and outward to illuminate aspects of your strategy that are often overlooked. Today's focus is marketplace strategy, and if you joined us for yesterday's session on content user experience, you're entered into a chance to win a MetaQuest 2, so look out in your email to see if you're the lucky winner. Today's session will start off with an overlook of marketplaces before we start to dig deeper into your strategy, and then ending with a Q&A session. So please feel free to drop questions in the chat or Q&A box. I'm happy to introduce our speaker today, Rishi Modi, Head of Marketplace at NetElixir. Rishi is a certified brand strategist with over 25 years of experience and expert in DTC models, and obtained his master's in management studies. He's also a lifelong student of behavioral economics. Rishi, I will pass it over to you.
I'm Rishi Modi, I'm heading the marketplace practice for NetElixir. In today's agenda, I'm going to cover the broad strokes in terms of what's the marketplace outlook, how well does a brand or how well do you know your customer? Is there a linkage between D2C, marketplace, and retail channels? There are 3 different channels. We're trying to see whether is there a linkage or a uniform strategy that we can build. What's the traditional approach, which has been successful for so long for many of you all now? And what's the new approach, or the approach for the modern approach, as we call it? What's the NetElixir difference? What's our value proposition? And I'll be more than happy to take any questions if you have and try and answer them. So this is my background. I hate this image. I don't know why, who, what got me into posing like this, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I'll talk to you about the current e-commerce trends. I mean, we all know there was COVID, and now there is life after COVID, and things are beginning to stem up. I can't say normal, but things are beginning to settle in. That's the new norm. So we are still in a work in progress space here. There is a sizable shift in terms of how customer behavior or customer is looking at a particular brand or actually making their decisions. In the US, as of May 2022, Amazon and search marketplaces contribute to a sizable chunk of where customers go to see their online, to see their digital spend, to see where do they actually go ahead and make a purchase journey. How do they decide? This is where a marketplace is becoming increasingly important. It's becoming such an integral force that it can't be ignored anymore. Today, if you have your own website or own retail strategy, and if you're not in a marketplace, probably you're losing out something big here. This is how a typical US marketplace looks like. Total US e-commerce sales is about $350 billion. The growth rate is slowing a bit, but even in that slow growth rate, Amazon continues to dominate the space here, along with Walmart is also coming up. But Amazon, Walmart, eBay, the big 3 as we call it, will continue dominating the space, and they'll continue to grow and get market share or continue the growth journey. This leads us to a next part is how well does a brand know its customer? I mean, if you have your own D2C site, you would know, okay, I have my customer, I know they come from this region, that's my average order value. You only know that space coming in, that space. What about the retail space? What about the marketplace? How well do you know your SKU-wise profitability? How well do you know your positioning as compared to competition? In the digital space, you would know your versus in a store, you would know, but do you know it in all the 3 spaces that we're talking about? So typically, if you're selling on Amazon, you would do the following. You would have fantastic product images. You would have good optimized product content. You would have your catalog pricing, everything set. You would have A+ content, and you would go with a sales maximization and a revenue acceleration strategy coming in. All these are good. All these are very important. But is that enough? Is that the only approach that is that the approach for which will help you win customers go forward? We believe that the traditional approach for a marketplace is becoming since marketplaces are becoming ever so powerful, the traditional approach may not be enough. So you can focus on CPC. You want to ensure that you don't dilute your brand. You want to be extra focused on, hyper focus on making sure that you're acquiring customers, the right customers properly. And usually marketplace is always an afterthought. I don't want to go to a marketplace because I don't own the customer. I don't want to go to a marketplace because the costs are too high. So I don't want to go to marketplace because my brand's focus and approach is very uniform. So I want to control the entire narrative. This, to our mind, is the traditional approach, is an approach which is worked or not worked until now. But the new approach is, I want to own the entire customer journey. Today, when customers are spending that much more time in researching a category or a product or looking at reviews online, and Amazon or the Google is being the go-to destination there, you have to be present there, control the entire narrative. If you're not there, trust me, your competition is already there and they're doing a damn good job, or they are doing a job and capturing those dollars which otherwise would have come to you. So it's not whether should I, shouldn't I, it is you have to capture this segment as well. And the entire thing is based on how well you know your customer. How well do you know your product space? How well do you know your competition? And these are the enablers that we feel is important for any direct to consumer strategy. The next slide is, we'll talk about the Amazon cycle as we know it. As you know, everybody has seen this chart that Jeff Bezos had made, presented this a while back. Hyper focus on customer experience. If you focus on customer experience, you get more traffic. You get more traffic, you get sellers. If sellers give you a better selection, and Amazon focuses on infrastructure, lowering your costs to the customer, not to you, and making sure that there is an overall great experience to a customer. So this cycle has been on for a while. It's worked very well for the consumer and absolutely for Amazon or the marketplaces. But what about the brand? What about you as a seller on the marketplace, or you as a brand who owns the network, owns the product? How well has this worked for you? That's where the NetElixir approach comes in. This is the typical 8-10 algorithm. There is hyper focus on the brand experience, on hyper focus on customer experience, product-wise attractability, product-wise availability. You can't be out of stock. You have to have the entire range on the marketplace. You have to make sure that the customer experience, you get more customers onto the Amazon platform by spending more money. So you have to, this in turn will get you reviews. This in turn will help you convert better. But if you don't have a profit approach, or if you don't have a P&L approach in marketplace, we'll talk more on this in the coming slides. If you don't have this, that is the lack, or that's where the NetElixir secret sauce come into play in terms of how do we enable this. So you will, by being in marketplace or being in the customer segment or the digital space, you will have to have a very strong customer focus. You will ensure that you have to have your right product mix available to showing to the customer. These things are going to be extremely important going forward in the new algorithm that Amazon has introduced. These are some parameters in terms of relevancy on a scale of 1 to 20. How well does a brand stand for, or what's the relevancy for a ranking on Amazon? Organic sales are going to be very important. Your sales history for the last 3 months, 6 months is going to play a very important role, followed by customer reviews. So if you by chance lack in any of the first 3 categories, the balance is just an afterthought. Because, or even if you do the balance in a very aggressive way, you spend a lot in ad spend, you spend a lot in making sure you get the right impressions, you get the buy box and everything on that place. But if you don't have a good mix of organic sales coming on, if you don't have a good review mechanism in place, you stand to lose a lot in doing this. So at NetElixir, we are trying to take this entire model and make this into data. We've tried to get a lot of data on this. We've converted data into information and we try to make some actionable insights of how you as a brand owner can benefit using the marketplace model without impacting or without diluting your margins or impacting your profitability. So we have a three-pronged approach, which is crawl, walk, run, sprint. In the crawl part, we just try and understand what's the current marketplace market share, what's the landscape, how is the competition doing, what are the best sellers for them. We try and build out some templates and some models and do an ABC analysis of your entire product range. Take all the costs that are visible, invisible with the Amazon marketplace, take your cost of goods sold. Based on that, we come out with some actionable insights. I'll have some actual dashboards that you can see for yourself in my later slide, but this helps us do a full-fledged 360-degree study of your brand, your cost structure, the marketplace cost structure, and most importantly, how the competition is also evolving in terms of what are they doing, how is their cost structure, how is their positioning as compared to you. Once we have that, we start refining the ad spend. Now, typically the way ad spend works is I'm spending $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a month. I'm getting a ROAS of 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm happy. I'm just going there. But is that the right approach? Is that what will help you win the next years going forward? We think that that would help, but that will not benefit you to a greater extent. Your listing will, based on the ABC analysis, we will go with your listing optimization. We will recalibrate your growth strategy by saying, okay, if you feel the top 3 or top 10 products are these, but based on our analysis, this is the white space that you're probably lacking, and this is the space, or these products are actually eating into your margins. So we come and share that we have a strategic discussion with you. We'll share those details with you. And lastly, once this is done, the whole part is accelerating the space. So we do a very aggressive ABC execution, focus on ROI, and then get better consumer. And the more we sharpen the pencil, the better insights we keep getting for you. The NetElixir marketplace success drivers. We focus on doing A/B testing a lot. So marketplaces now are becoming very smart. They're becoming more user-friendly. So you can do 3 levels of A/B testing and see which works for you as a brand, which works for your customers, and which is the one that gives you that extra leg up. Once we have that, we do your optimized listings. We do your targeted customer acquisition based on ad spend. And lastly, based on the sales data, we come and generate heat maps. So those heat maps become so powerful that we know which city, which state shows what demand for what kind of products. Once we have that thing going around for you, it can act as a big catalyst for your digital spend. That footprint can play a big role for your D2C spend. That can play a big role for your retail spend as well. So once you know what is your marketplace or D2C, the digital customer, what are they buying? What is the buying pattern? What is the zip code wise, city wise, state wise buying patterns? That would give you a lot of insights in terms of positioning, in terms of making sure that in terms of some decisions of reducing costs by making sure that, instead of everybody knows the Amazon storage fee for the last quarter. But if you have got your heat map and your product thing in place and your ABC analysis in place, maybe you can start tinkering around with your storage costs, which directly impacts your margins. So that's one of the few things that we bring to the table here. Once your dashboard is ready, this is the whole thing that starts working. We start looking at your sales on a weekly basis. You will have that dashboard along with in front of you. You would look at overall sales and profitability growth rate. You will look at the customer heat maps and market share analysis insights. So based on this, on a month-on-month basis, you would know how your product is stacking up versus competition, how your brand is doing versus competition, And what more do you need to do in terms of getting in behind the customers, or selling more products, or getting more market share? This is the whole part. Once you have data, these kind of dashboards will help you a lot in terms of how do you position and how do you get to your customers. We have 3 different formats of reporting. We do a market share analysis, which gives you a lot of data, a lot of information coming about. We do a category and segment trends. We do benchmark. Of course, benchmarking is important for any brand to know where you are, what you need to do, where you need to be, and what are the steps you need to cover into that part here. Gain competitive intelligence. Once you understand the competitive landscape, you would start doing a lot of things right, and most importantly, stop doing a few things which are probably hurting the brand or hurting the margins in some way or some form or the other. We of course have monthly, weekly profitability analysis dashboards. We update them on a regular basis so that you are aware of what's your cost per click, what's your organic sales versus paid sales, how does your product compare versus competition. And we give you weekly ad tech reports, which is based on ASIN-wise ASIN-wise spend. So this, based on that one report, you can actually drive a lot of your business decisions based on a market growth or profitability, or just wanted to cut costs and refine my margins. So we start this whole exercise by doing a QA audit. We make this report. It takes us a while, but we will make sure that we comment on your product listings, we comment on your brand store, we comment on what kind of new customer acquisition strategies do you have, what kind of ad spend are you doing, are you doing sponsored video ads, are you doing display ads? We focus on them. We try and we look at your reviews and ratings. This is very important, and we try and do some quick fixes here in terms of making sure that how do you increase and improve your review and ratings into on any listings. We do, of course, we study your ad spend. You take a look at your budgets, take a look at what's working for you, what's not. Are your campaigns optimized or not? We take a look at that. Market share, we study your market share and give you a statement. How is your market share performing? Target the right audience. This is easier said than done, but yeah, how are you approaching the right target audience? Are you looking at the right customer segment? Are you approaching the right? Are you penetrating the segment properly or not? And we help you with custom creatives or anything to safeguard your brand. Today, copyright, if you lose the buy box, what's happening? We try and fix and address all those things for you. So the first part of this is a market study. So this is how a market study report looks like. I've hidden the names for privacy or confidentiality purposes, but this is how a typical market study dashboard looks like. You have market share by brand. You have year-on-year change. So how is your brand doing this year versus last year? From a growth perspective, you would know. This report alone shows a lot of insights or a lot of understanding of how well you know your customer, how well you know your competition, and how well you think you know your brand. So this one segment gives you a trend for the last 1 year. What's the total size? What's the average selling price? What's the year-on-year growth on the average selling price? And how many brands are relevant there? And how many ASINs does a typical brand own in a listing? Next, we study on the year-on-year market share comparison. So on 2021, what was your share? 2022, what's your share? Month on month, the seasonality or the cyclicality of the brands. So if you see the top 3 or 4 brands on the lower chart here, all those tell you how is your market share moved on a month-on-month basis as compared to competition. So this helps us catch any seasonality, any new launches that your competition has done, or anything different that they have done that you've not, some of the listings have gone down or up. This is what will catch you and help you in doing this. And the chart on the right-hand side top tells you about what are the top selling brands, what is the revenue growth, number of units, market share change in a number fashion. This insights to you as a product, as a brand, gives you a planning, gives you some sort of an insight in terms of what's the seasonality, not in front of, you would know your brand, but what's the seasonality and cyclicality in the entire marketplace. The next gives you profitability dashboard. On a week-on-week basis, you would know how many units are you selling, what's the total sale number, and what's the profit number. Now, just for you to reflect on this chart here, the sale chart and the profit chart is not always uniform. And so there is no correlation that a brand can see here. But once you dig deeper into this, you would know that there is a lot of hidden things that probably you would not know. And if you could analyze your business a bit more in detail, you would know that, okay, what is causing or what is hitting what I'm doing right to increase my units and increasing my sales, but my profit is just as is. So what do I need to do there? What do I need to do something different here? This is the typical profitability on a week-on-week basis. So we see how much have you sold in a week. We look at the total number of units, margins, how much is your ad spend, and what's the return number. Now, if you just see this on a week-on-week basis, or if you just see it on a monthly basis here, you would know, you would yourself answer a lot of questions that, hey, this product with a 12% return rate is too high. What can I do to reduce my returns? And that will directly impact my margins. Do I need to focus on this because this is hardly giving me any margins? So what am I going to do different here? Can I bundle a few products together to make sure I get a better ROI? So this is, can I take a relook at my packaging? Because shipping and packaging and storage is a fixed number. Can I just address that a bit more to ensure that which will directly impact my margin? I mean, just to give you an example, there was one company that used to do medical coats, uniforms, and the size was about 18 inches after folding and everything. And once you cross 18 inches, the storage charge, the shipping cost, everything just quadruples. So we took a look at that. We identified this. We went to the brand and we gave a simple suggestion that increase another fold and put a tape, and everything comes down by half. The storage cost, the shipping cost, and everything just comes down by half in that part. So those insights come on. We pass those insights on to you. This is how the cost structure would work on a week-on-week basis. You would know what's working for you, what's not. You would have the full breakdown of your cost of goods sold, how much is returns, how much is FBA storage fee. If you know the Amazon model well, the amount of money that Amazon can ding you for a return and restocking is huge. If you can just be more vigilant on that part, it's just straight away going to the bottom line. The data is there, but pulling the data out, making it into an actionable dashboard is what is probably lacking. That's what probably NetElixir can help. This is a profitability analysis of every style and SKU that you would have. So if you have, say, 2,000, we can have this thing for 2,000, but just for representation perspectives, the blue line is the sales, the green line is the profit. So if you see the left-hand side of the chart is decent, but as in when you start crossing that a bit and come to the middle and there, that's where the big thing starts fluctuating. So these things needs to be addressed. And if a brand is able to fix this, it's just straight to the bottom line. So what we are trying to say is, just by being on marketplace, just by not being on marketplace and being on your site is not a debate anymore. Just by being on the marketplace as well and doing things the old way will not take you anywhere. Of course it will take you anywhere, but you're not doing justice to it. And lastly, if you're not looking at your dashboards, but with the way we are proposing, you're probably losing a lot of money, resources on the table. Moving on, this is the typical advertisement report that we do. So you would know on a dashboard, you would know how are you doing in the last month, last week, How was your ROAS numbers? How is your clicks? What's your impressions are you getting? What's the cost of a click that you have? All that broken up into a style-wise, SKU-wise, product-wise. So this becomes very powerful for you to know to allocate where do I spend my dollars? How do I make my money? How do I know what are the things that I don't need to do? There may be some products that probably are just not worth for you to put it on a marketplace. You just have to, if you just start pulling them off, it's an impact to your top line, not top line, impact to your margins and bottom line. Just by doing some things right, if you know that these kind of products or these kind of bundles do very well, and if you just start pushing it on the marketplace, you start benefiting more. If you know your ABC analysis, and if you start spending your advertisement dollars smartly, that's where the whole thing starts moving your way. If you start taking all the data, sales data, your return data, and start doing your smart heat analysis for you, you will be able to leverage that space into your D2C spend, into your retail spend, and that's where you get to own the full customer ownership. You control the brand narrative, and that's what will probably start improving or helping you get an ROI, a better ROI. These are some of the formats of an advertisement report that we do. And this was the report that I was talking about from a ad tech, from a style-wise advertisement. What am I doing? How many impressions I'm capturing? What am I doing? So that I can do some things better. I can do some things not so better. And I can do some things which is just stop something. So that's where the ABC starts working very well for you. So we believe, the NetElixir believes, data is going to be very important for you. But using data, getting in those right actionable insights in a dashboard is the way you can actually drive your marketplace, so that you know Amazon has its, or Walmart has its own cost structure, own bells and whistles. You're already doing that. But if you just sharpen the pencil a bit and start being a bit more proactive onto this, that's where it really starts working for you. So this is where we feel is a space or a white space that our brand is probably doing. I'm not saying no, but probably NetElixir can help add value and make this and automate these things for you, so that you can have more strategic discussions internally and start focusing more. So that's the few things. That's what I wanted to talk about. I would love to connect with you all in future. If you have any questions, if you want this deck, if you want us to do a custom audit or anything, more than happy to work with you. Sana?
Thank you so much, Rishi. And thank you for mentioning our audit. So I wanted to mention that NetElixir is offering a free marketplace strategy audit, as well as a content user experience audit. So please scan the QR code to claim that. And let's jump into some questions that came in, Rishi. So for the first question, how can a brand differentiate itself in the marketplace?
Typically what happens is, if you have, sorry, come again, Sana, I missed you.
How can a brand differentiate itself in the marketplace?
Absolutely. So typically what happens is, first and the most important part is understand how is the competitive landscape in the marketplace. Marketplace has its own different P&L. Your D2C or your brand doesn't know that P&L. The first and the most important part is understand that entire P&L, understand the competitive landscape. Who are those people? What is competition? What's the depth in category? What are they selling? What can you expect out of being on the marketplace? And third and the most important part is do exactly what we are asking to do. Start with a profitability dashboard. Start with knowing your customer better. And that's where you start leveraging your marketplace.
Great, thank you. For the next question, how do I determine what products to sell on marketplaces and what to keep exclusively for my brand's website?
So increasingly, what we are now beginning to see a big trend, that people who go to Amazon or go to a marketplace are to discover a product. So they have a need, they tie that up, they type it in, and they see a product. And if your listing is optimized, you do the right ad spend, and you're in stock, there's a very high probability that your organic ranking is high, and you go there. And once you're there, your customer makes a purchase. Nowadays, people want more. So once I buy a product, I like it, I go to the marketplace, I see the brand, and I go to the site. So that's fun. That traffic movement from D2C to the marketplace, there are a lot of people who see the brand on D2C, but they buy it on Amazon because of ease of shipping and whatever, returns and everything on that part. So these two things are already happening. So from a brand perspective, what you need to own is you need to decide at what level you want to draw a line and say, okay, these are the products I only want to keep it in the marketplace. These are products I want to keep it in the D2C side. Increasingly, we are beginning to see a lot of people are now saying that, okay, I want to be in the marketplace. I want to put all my listings, all my products in the marketplace to ensure that I get a better customer feel. So even if the most expensive range of the products, I'm putting some of them in the marketplace so that there is just that visibility and so-called brand awareness. And luckily or otherwise, they are beginning to see a lot of traction and momentum coming in. So our opinion is you have to start somewhere, to start doing an experiment, but go with an open mind and go with an ROI or a P&L focus onto this.
Okay. Moving on to the next question, kind of goes with that. How do I get started on marketplaces? And is it worth it to be on all of the marketplaces, or should I just focus on one?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second part first. This is a smart question, actually. Yeah, you should not go with all marketplaces to begin with. So do your research, talk to us. We'll tell you what are the 1 or 2 marketplaces that are really apt for you. You should be ready as well, because not all of them have their own warehousing. A lot of them rely on your warehousing, your shipping requirements as well. So it's just not, okay, I'm on 50 different marketplaces. That's not how it works. You have to have that kind of focus and that kind of investments as well. So start with 1 or 2 and then start building onto the part there. That's what we would recommend. And the first part was, Sana, sorry?
How do I get started on marketplaces?
Talk to us. We'll be more than happy to do a market search. Just don't put up your products on the marketplace and start taking, okay, I'm on 15 different marketplaces now, or I'm just putting all my products on marketplace and then hope to see some magic. No, let's start, do the right thing, do a market search, understand the depth in category, understand what you're getting into. There may be some products that you feel you just don't want to go there because of whatever reasons thereabouts. So do that study. That study would probably help you a lot more than anything else.
Awesome. Well, that's all we have time for today. Thank you, Rishi. It was a pleasure. And thank you everyone for joining NetElixir for Insider Insights Week. Please look out in your email to see if you're the lucky winner of the Meta